You might wonder how I made every married man in my town forget his home. They betrayed me, so I sought revenge. My name is Isioma, and I come from Akuta, a place that worships fertility. I had been married for 5 years to my gentle husband, Kelechi, yet my arms remained empty. I gave, I served, I smiled, still, I felt abandoned by fate. The women with babies wore their pride like wrappers, and every glance reminded me of what I lacked. I kept asking why goodness returned to me as grief. In Akuta, love is measured by children, and mine was counted as nothing. The mockery began like rain and soon became a flood. Neighbors laughed in doorways and pointed in markets, calling me barren, calling me wood, calling me a man. I tried to swallow the words, but they dragged splinters through my chest. Still, I walked the streets, chin high, telling myself that kindness blooms where it is planted. Kelechi would hold me and say, "Wait. Destiny is slow but faithful." I wanted to believe him. Yet the calendar pages cut like blades. In Akuta, patience wins praise in stories, but in real life, waiting makes you a target for stones. Even my footsteps sounded guilty to their ears. One afternoon I met a woman cradling her baby. I reached to admire the child, and she recoiled as if I carried ash. "Don't touch," she spat. "What do you know about holding life?" Her words bit into me. I walked home with tears clinging to my throat like thorns. That night, I cried until the moon blurred. Kelechi wiped my face and whispered prayers above my hair. He promised that one day our house would echo with laughter. The promise floated like incense, thin and sweet, and I pressed it to my heart, nursing hope like a secret flame. But the days kept coming with empty hands. Whispers turned to open scorn. Some called me a witch, asking why in Akuta no woman struggled except me. Others pulled their children away when I approached, as if my longing could rub off. I kept telling myself that storms pass, that faith has feet. I lit candles and sang old hymns, counting each as a seed planted for tomorrow. I believed there was still a door somewhere with my name scratched on it. I held Kelechi's hand like a rope across a river and dared the water to drown me. I promised myself I would not break, not yet. The river rose anyway. News came that Kelechi died in a road accident, sudden as lightning. The world narrowed to a single scream. I was a wife with no husband, a woman with no child, a house with no sound. In our compound, their pity hissed into new cruelty. They said I had eaten my husband's luck, that my shadow was heavy, that my hands were cold. I wished sleep would carry me where questions are light. But morning always returned with its loud mouth. Grief sat on my chest and would not move. Something inside me began to burn black. After his burial, insult became sport. They told me to die since life had already passed me by. My heart hardened. I told myself that mercy never protected me, so why should I protect anyone? If they loved to mock, I would teach their laughter to kneel. A plan formed like storm clouds. I decided to repay the women who locked their children from my arms and sharpened their tongues on my name. I gathered my wrappers, tied my scarf, and set out for Endioke, a neighboring town where people whispered about a healer whose words could bend a season. The healer's compound smelled of earth and smoke. I sat before Dibian Kem and told him everything: my marriage, my empty womb, the jeers, Kelechi's death, and the stone my heart had become. I asked for a charm that would draw every married man in Akuta to me, so their wives would taste my daily shame. Nkem studied me with tired eyes. He urged me to forgive, to wait, to trust that the one written for me would arrive and fill my house with children. He warned that revenge eats the hand that feeds it. His voice was gentle, my resolve was iron. I refused his mercy like a meal I could not swallow. "Give me what I ask," I said, "and let the cost find me later." He sighed and spoke of consequences that travel like shadows. Still, he brought a small calabash filled with fine, fragrant powder. "Smear this on your face each morning," he said. "Men will turn toward you like sunflowers. But the price will ride its own horse." He begged me to reconsider. I turned away. I told myself that justice sometimes wears thorns. I carried the calabash home, clutching it like a verdict. He said debts circle back like harmattan dust, settling on every surface. I used the powder at dawn. By noon, the wind in Akuta changed. Married men who once passed me by began to circle like moths around a lantern. They brought yams, wine, and promises. Some knelt, some wept, all pleaded for a place near me. Their eyes followed me with hunger I had not ordered. In days, the chorus swelled. I did not need to call, they came. I looked at the women who had barred their babies from my hands. And for the first time in years, I felt taller than their laughter. Revenge tasted sweet and new. Even the wind seemed to call my name in doorways. Soon I took their devotion and locked it with my will. Husbands stopped sleeping at home. The night quieted in many compounds while my house grew loud with footsteps and praises. Wives gathered with swollen eyes, begging me to let their men return, even for a little while. I refused. I said my season had come. They ran to Chief Igbuna, but when he tried to speak, the charm wrapped his tongue in leaves. No decree could touch me. The men swept my yard, washed my clothes, cooked my meals, and lined up for my attention. At dusk, lanterns bloomed in my veranda like obedient stars. Then guilt arrived with Kelech's voice in its mouth. One evening I watched the men scrubbing pots while their children waited for fathers who never came, and a stone rolled off my chest. I saw myself from the outside, a woman crowned with ashes. This was not the life I dreamed when I stitched hope into my wedding wrapper. The charm had turned me into a riddle I could not answer. I tried to sleep, but the floor sighed under restless feet and the walls kept counting sins. I decided to return to Endioke and face the beginning I had rejected. Dawn found me at Dibia Nkem's door, the calabash shaking in my hands. "Take it back," I begged. "Break whatever I tied." He looked at me as if measuring the distance between wound and wisdom. "The charm was made to last," he said softly. "I can lift it, but the price has grown teeth. Your path will hold no husband, and your arms will carry no child, not in this life." My throat burned. He reminded me of the first road I refused: patience. Outside, a rooster crowed like a gavel. I had to choose which ending I could bear, chose to free the men and keep the hollow. Nkem lifted the charm, and Akuta exhaled. Husbands stumbled home like travelers waking from fever dreams. The women held their families as though cradling water. I walked back to my silent house and sat with the shape of my decisions. If I had listened, a gentler ending might have found me. Now I ask you, reader, was my revenge a right I claimed or a ruin I invited? Would you have swallowed the insults and waited for destiny, or done as I did? Tell me below. Silence learned my name and sat beside me each night. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn your notifications bell so that you can be notified when I drop another interesting and captivating story. And please don't forget to share what you learnt from the story too. Love you all.